What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, we're going to talk about a quarterback switcheroo at the University of Texas. Welcome into 365 Sports. If you haven't already, we encourage you strongly and kindly, kind of a nice mixture there, both strong and kind, to subscribe to the channel. It's college football season. You want to be on the number one college football, college sports channel on YouTube. This is the place. Now, with that said, this show is going to be moving to its own channel. There's not a disclosed name or date or anything like that. Just know it's going to be happening soon, and I want you to be able to join us as we make this move. Okay, so again, we operate because of the people. We operate because of the community and the people that watch this show. So following along when that channel does move is going to be crucial to the health, growth, success, all of that of this show, and ultimately our conversation back and forth. So follow me on Twitter at JD Piquel to stay up to the latest with that. And there'll also be some conversations on this channel, I would assume. Texas has switched quarterbacks. Remember last week when Hudson was going to win the Heisman Trophy and Texas was back after they beat Louisiana? That was it. Well, they went into Arkansas and lost 21-40. Hudson went 8 for 15 for 61 yards. No picks, but also no touchdowns. And Steve Sarkisian said, all right, I've seen enough. I've seen enough. Bring in Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson proceeded to go 5 for 8, 57 yards, and ran for 2 touchdowns. Worth noting. Also ran for 44 yards on 7 carries. So he had a good day on the ground as well. But Texas as a whole, this is a weird move to me. I don't understand why you do this if you're Steve Sarkisian, because last week you felt great about Hudson Card. The storyline this week was, wow, finally Texas got a guy at quarterback. Steve Sarkisian's a genius. Everyone thought Casey Thompson was the guy coming out of the bowl game, and now Hudson Card's the guy, and he looks great, and they beat a ranked Louisiana team, and just go get it handed to you in SEC territory. In the SEC debut, unofficially, for Texas, you got to hand it to you. And so what this tells me is Steve Sarkisian was never really sold on Hudson Card to begin with. Steve Sarkisian must have never really thought Hudson Card was his guy. And some of that might be visible in the fact that he said Hudson Card's going to play in this first game. Casey Thompson will also play. But after Hudson Card started off so hot, you're like, why would you change? Why would you switch? I don't understand why you switch after the second game. You played a tough Arkansas team, a team that is not nearly getting enough respect across the college football landscape for what they've done under Sam Pittman. They were, I think, 3-win team a year ago, but they played a lot better than a 3-win team last year. Like, Sam Pittman's got that thing headed in the right direction. Their identity as a football team is tough, physical. Offensively, they're going to ground and pound you and control the time of possession. Like, Arkansas is a good program. So to lose to them in your second start, do we really want to hit the panic button right now? To me, that just speaks to where this team is at from a psyche standpoint. Like Steve Sarkisian, if you're switching your quarterback after your first loss to a pretty good team, I think one of the better teams is on your schedule, quite frankly, what does that tell me if I'm Casey Thompson? What happens if Casey Thompson comes out and plays poorly next game or the game after that? How short is his leash now? I mean, is that really the message you want to send to your football team? When the going gets tough, we switch quarterbacks? Now, they're at Rice next game, so I don't anticipate Casey Thompson having any trouble. What happens when you go to TCU? Get into Amon G. Carter Stadium, and Casey Thompson's thrown 2 picks in the first quarter. You bringing him back Hudson Card? You got to have a guy at quarterback. You got to pick an identity at quarterback. And Hudson Card, by most accounts, by most of the experts, quote-unquote, myself included, expert's probably a generous term, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm just going to go ahead and lump myself in with that voice that was saying Hudson Card fits the mold of your offense substantially better than Casey Thompson. Casey Thompson's a Tom Herman kind of guy, dual threat. I mean, honestly, he's got powerful legs. He's probably a similar comp to Sam Ehlinger. Hudson Card is a lot closer of a comp to Mac Jones than Casey Thompson is. And Mac Jones did some really great things in your offense. Now, that's a whole nother tangent because Mac Jones had Devontae Smith on his offense, so there's no Devontae Smith on Texas's offense. But just feels like a quick trigger. It feels like a quick trigger, and it feels like a decision that was very knee-jerky. And Steve Sarkisian just said, hey, Hudson Card looked a little bit antsy out there and didn't really look like he was totally poised. And, I mean, Casey Thompson did look poised in that fourth quarter, but when I think about what this really means for Texas and how this changes the complexion of their season, obviously if Casey Thompson is just that dude, which would be a little bit surprising because he wasn't that dude coming out of camp. He wasn't starting game one. Unless he's really just a game breaker, you got problems other places. Like the offensive line is very much so to blame for the lack of success for Hudson Card. Because Hudson Card can throw the rock now. I know he was 8 for 15, but he's got a lot of arm talent. It's hard to use any of your arm talent when you're running for your life. Like that's just the short of it. That's just the matter of it. You can't throw a football with 2 knees on the ground. It's called a sack. That's just the way they play football. So for Casey Thompson, maybe his mobility, not to say Hudson Card isn't mobile, but maybe his mobility offers a new element to this offense that Steve Sarkisian gets excited about. You got to feed Bijan Robinson. You need more production out of him. He had 19 carries for, I think it was 69 yards. Good, not great. You need more from him. Quarterback might not be the quick fix here. Quarterback is the most important position on the field, regardless of what school you go to. But if you can't protect your man, you're playing left-handed the whole game anyway. And so I'm very interested to see, one, how long is Casey Thompson's leash? And two, how do they tailor the offense to a guy like Casey Thompson? Because Hudson Card feels like he was more of a natural fit. I wish the best for him. I wish the best for Casey Thompson. I wish the best for Steve Sarkisian. I think he's a brilliant football mind in spite of some other shortcomings he's had. I'm excited for this Texas team to hopefully get back on track because this was a game that I really thought, and a lot of other people thought, they were going to win. After their week one showing, you were buying Texas stock like it was going out of style. And now, a week later, the difference 7 days make, you got a new quarterback in Austin. So Casey Thompson's your man. I would encourage you, if you're Steve Sarkisian, stick with Casey Thompson. Because if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Plain and simple. That's it for us here at The Hard Count. We're going to keep this party rolling. The channel is moving. We will let you know more about that as it approaches. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see y'all next time.